Well, thank you for spending time this week with Luke daily as you're engaging the Bible daily by listening to a chapter of Luke a day. Hopefully, it's been good for you. Also, thank you for taking the time to participate in the 21-day dwell experience. Hopefully, this is encouraging for you. What this video is essentially just a moment to stop and to encourage you on this journey. Share an interesting fact with you, as well as just things that I'm thinking about as I'm listening with you as well. So let's start with that interesting fact. Now, right from the beginning in Luke chapter 1, verses 1 through 4, it's kind of a neat little spot there that you don't want to miss. In so much as many have undertaken to compile a narrative of things that have been accomplished among us, just as those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word have delivered them to us. It seemed good to me also, having followed all things closely for some time past, to write an orderly account for you, most excellent Theophilus, that you may have certainty concerning the things you have been taught. Now, Theophilus, Roman patron more than likely. However, what's really interesting is that Theophilus' name means friend of God. That these things were written so that you might have an orderly account, friend of God. Those who come to the text, friends of God, they would know Jesus and know him better as they follow him through the Gospel of Luke. So, friend of God. Now, be encouraged as you continue to listen daily and engage this story. It's kind of an interesting fact. Now, another question might be just something like, what are your favorite parts of what you're listening to? I mean, it's a story unfolding, an account of Jesus' life. And I'm going to share two spots with you that have jumped out to me as I've been listening this week. First is in chapter 2. As you listen to chapter 1, I mean, there's just so much happening in chapter 1. It's a long listen, all John the Baptist stuff. And then you move into chapter 2, you got Christmas, like right there. And after spending so much time listening and studying the beginning of chapter 2 in the Gospel of Luke for our Christmas celebration, I oftentimes just get stuck kind of in the Jesus being born in Bethlehem, the shepherds scene, the angels, Mary. I mean, it's all kind of there. And that's just such a big, important part of the story that as I listen, and again, I knew what comes next, but as I listened, this kind of kept going. It's like, yeah, he's born, but then they bring him to the temple, and then you got Anna and Simeon, and they're praising him. They've got these songs in there, and then it keeps going, right? It keeps going because you end up with Jesus, right? He's 12 by the end of the chapter, and his parents lost him. I mean, not really lost him, but he's in the temple, in his father's house, and just so much happens in Luke chapter 2. You see Jesus' life unfolding in a really tremendous way. So that really stuck out to me. Another favorite part, and this is kind of a weird favorite part maybe, but in chapter 3, I really like where it starts, specifically chapter 3, when you get to those verses like around verse 23. Yeah, what's that? The names, right? Genealogy. Jesus, when he began his ministry, was about 30 years of age. And then it just kind of goes, right? Name after name after name after name. And if you're reading this, you get kind of lost. You might not even get through it. But listening, I really appreciated this. You listen, you take in these names, which again, like as you listen, some really important ones pop out. I mean, all of them are important, but ones you recognize possibly from other stories that you've heard, other parts of the Bible, people like David and Jesse and Obed and Boaz, people like Jacob and Isaac and Abraham, as well as if you get to the end of this section, it ends with their Adam, from the beginning. And this is where this is a really neat spot, because it reminds us that at this story, right, is one that God's had in history, in his mind from the beginning, and that as we see him working in history through families just like our families, as we look at our family life and life that happens in the world, that God's working faithfully through his story to Jesus, where through Jesus' death and resurrection, as we're going to learn, we get to be part of this family as well by faith in him. So it's kind of neat. Again, those names, that record, that real history of people, God working faithfully in their lives, and brings us Jesus. So, well, anyways, that's just a couple things I've been thinking about. Take time as you're listening to kind of reflect about, what do you like about what you listen to? What's sticking out to you? What questions do you have? God bless you. So enjoy Luke daily, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye.